Hey, welcome to the show, Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. This is Coach James Short, aka Shorty, and this is a show for those within the real estate industry wanting to lead and grow their real estate business. It's a series of interviews that we conduct for those within the industry. So we're finding out what those leaders are within the industry, what makes them tick, what's their story, what are their strategies, and how to become the leaders and the growers within the industry. But also, it's an interview series with those outside of the industry. I'm always a big believer of looking at a whole different part of the pie rather than just focusing on one part of the pie. Because what it does, it allows you to have a different perspective, allows you to get snippets or golden nuggets from those outside of the industry that can look into the industry and go, there's a different perspective. And so I encourage you to reach out to the guests. I encourage you to lean into these series to find out how can these pieces of information, experiences, stories help you lead and grow your real estate business. And before we get underway with our latest episode, just a little shout out to these amazing crew at Magic Mind. Magic Mind has been it's a productivity hit in the bottle. I've been using these supplementations now for a number of weeks, and the clarity, the focus, and the performance that I've been getting from these nutrients in a bottle. They've got amazing vitamins, amazing minerals. They've got a bunch of mushrooms in there as well. It's a great productivity hack that I've been using every single day. So if you want to try it out, head on over to www.magicmind.com/James Short, and you'll be able to get amazing discounts when you subscribe and when you try the product. And at the checkout, simply add in James Short 20 to get your discount. So head on over, Magic Mind, productivity in a bottle. Oh, I love it. Now, on with the show. It's an honor and a pleasure to have this amazing guest with us today, Beau Miller. Wow, she has a few hats that she is wearing, but she is definitely making a huge impact into the industry. So Beau has an amazing agency called Boutique Realty. However, she's also a consultant within the industry, helping those navigate certain challenges and navigate certain conversations that agents need to have within the industry. And so we're going to unpack both of these different stories, being an active agent, buying and selling for clients, but also helping those other agents within the industry navigating their challenges, navigating their, I guess, roadblocks, and really being that voice, that person of awareness because of her industry, because of her over a decade of experience within the industry, mainly in the Queensland area, the Queensland market, which we're going to unpack shortly. But it's really an honor and a privilege to have Beau with us today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing with us, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, James. I'm super excited.
Let's go back to the humble beginnings. How did the real estate gig start? What sort of sparked you to go, yeah, I'm gonna take this opportunity on?
Yeah, straight out of school, almost straight out of school. So I grew up in Tasmania, and when you're in Tassie, you kind of go to when I finished school, which was in the 90s, you go to year 10 and then off you go to college. So that's like year 11 and 12. And that's a really big fish for somebody who grew up in a really small town. On the back of our school T-shirt, my surname was Rogers. About 50% of the 60 kids in our grade, their surname was Triff. And my mum's maiden name was Triffett. So I grew up in an extremely small little convict town where everybody knew everybody. And then, off to year 11, and I'm in a big fish in Hobart, big pond in Hobart as a little fish. And it was a bit of a challenge, and I gave up after 3 months. Off I went and got myself a traineeship in office admin, and finished that really quite quickly. So by the time I'd done that, I think it was about 6 months in admin, I was looking for the next challenge. And traineeships were a big thing as a 17-year-old, and up popped one in real estate. And yeah, that started my journey. So you said a decade. I think there's over 2 decades now in real estate.
Incredible, incredible.
Yeah.
And so then going out and then obviously getting that experience through the traineeship and getting that experience within different offices, what made you want to do your own adventure?
Well, the first business that I worked with was a boutique property management only agency. And if you imagine that was in the year 2000, so the Y2K bug happened. Computers were barely a thing. We were still taking checks around to the banks to deposit rent money. And for me, that the beginnings were really humble, I suppose. They were a very small, unique business, starting something very different, and breaking the mold of your traditional real estate agency that has a sales department with the property managers in play. And I saw working with that agency that my next step is I really did want to have my own agency, and that wasn't going to happen. They were the best in Tasmania at the time. And the mainland was calling. We call it the mainland when you live in Tasmania. And at 21, I moved to Queensland. We were a part of the leading agent network of Australia. So at the time, there were some really big names that were independent boutique agencies dotted around each capital. And in Brisbane, Patrick Dixon was the agency there. And I had met them, lucky enough to go to a conference and meet them. And so back then, to get a job, you literally turn up on the doorstep and say, "Hey, can I have a job?" And that's what I did. Drove up with my sister, and knocked on the door and said, would you have a job for me? And they basically said, "We just sold our rent roll down the hill." So I was lucky enough that they put me in touch with a really large rental agency, only rentals, no sales. And I jumped on reception there, and that's how I started to learn the world of Queensland real estate, which was very legislative controlled compared to Tassie. It's kind of your backyard agency. To get a tenant out for rent arrears, it was slap a letter on their door and then you go to court. Where in Queensland they have this structure around a process and timeframes, and yeah, so that was really great for my brain because it gave us some structure around why we do what we did. Mm.
Fantastic. And so obviously being in the time within the real estate, going from, from Tasmania to up into Queensland, what's been your biggest, I guess, what have you seen biggest changes over your time within the industry?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's very cyclic. So now I feel I've been through 3 property cycles and 3 markets. And so in that journey, I've also bought and sold property across the cycles of those periods. And I feel like I'm the classic case of I should know better. And each time I buy and sell at the wrong time. It's really quite interesting. And I think we're in a market right now where I actually sold 2 of my rental properties. I got on the hype of, oh shit, the market's going to crash. It can't do any better than it's doing. And 18 months ago, I sold 2 of my rental properties in Queensland. And just last week, or a week before, I went out and helped a client with a building and pest inspection. I said, yeah, I'm free. I'll go do that for you. And the house was a street away from one of the properties that I'd sold. And I sold for 395,000 18 months ago. And I was at this building inspection. I'm like, what a bucket of shit. Like, this house has got termite damage. It's got there's furniture everywhere. It was quite yucky. And my place, I'd repainted, redone the front stairs, the back stairs, gutters, everything. Spent, 30 grand getting it ready for sale. And this place was under contract for 540,000 and was still going to go ahead with this termite
Wow.
damage. Yeah. I'm like, damn it.
Hindsight, right? You go, oh,
Yeah.
crazy, crazy.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the now, right? So you're a busy lady, that you got lots happening. What's going on with obviously what you're doing within the industry? Because I'm really interested to share that piece with our
Yeah.
audience. What's going on?
Yeah, so I ran my own agency for 13 years. It was called Boutique Realty, and it mainly focused with investors and property management space. So we were running 275 properties, and I made the decision to actually sell the rent roll in the last 12 months. And a few reasons behind that is it becomes really hard to retain and keep staff. The wages, when I was operating for those 13 years, the property management wages was sitting at about 45 to 55,000 per year is what you would pay for a property manager. They're now sitting at 85 to 110,000. So yes, the rents have gone up, but what we were also seeing is a lot of investors leaving the market. So the size of the rent rolls were diminishing. So the profit margins are getting actually, quite tight in that space. I was spending a lot more time doing the sales part of the business, and it occurred that I lost 2 staff members in a very short period of time, and I went, "Oh my God, what am I doing?"
Hey guys, just a little side note here. How's it going? Are you on track this year? I know that sometimes this part of the year we can feel like we're in a bit of a grind, a bit of in the trenches. Are you on track from the original plans that you set out for the rest of this year? What I've realized is that between with this time of year, we get so distracted and we've got trying to chase so many shiny balls and go down so many rabbit holes. And that's why I created a program called the 90. It's a framework that actually allows you to achieve more in 90 days than ever before. Some of the feedback that we've got from some of the people that have used the process, the 90, is that they've achieved more in 90 days than the whole previous year. So if you'd like to have the tools, have the techniques, have the framework on the 90, so you and your team can achieve more in 90 days than ever before. What it does, it impacts you of how to get clear, what you need to do, and who you need to be to show up in order to achieve the things you want to achieve over the next 90 days. Simply head over to jamesshort.com.au, click on join the waitlist, fill in your details, and one of the team members will be in touch and take you through the 90 framework. On with the show.
So certainly in the industry right now, what I'm seeing is you've got property managers that have left. They're burnt out. COVID was really hard work, and there's a big gap between your 1 or 2 year property managers to your 20-year property managers. Your 20-year property managers are sticking at it. Your 1 or 2 years are just kind of new to it, but they are making mistakes because they just haven't had the time or effort to be able to do a really good job. And I suppose that's where I've kind of now morphed into a space of I'm still doing a little bit of the sales side, but I'm spending a lot more of my time coaching and mentoring other agents and other agencies on this skill gap. So I, in the last 2 years, spent a bit of time using AI. So ChatGPT had a massive impact on my agency when I lost the 2 staff members. And we used it to bring down an email inbox that was absolutely overflowing. There was over 600 emails in the inbox over that Christmas period. Looked at it and went, oh my God, we're not actually getting to completion. When a client wants something, what I was finding is the team would reply, but there was no completion. So we weren't actually saying yes or no to these inquiries. We were going back and forwards a lot. So we employed AI to help us really nail that email inquiry inbox and get some answers and clarity for the clients, get the tasks closed, and then we just started growing. It was incredible. So we had in the last 6 months of my business, we had grown. There was 45 new clients came into the business within the last 6 months, and we were really making an impact because we were getting proper solutions for people using AI.
And what are you noticing as the biggest reasons why people are looking to engage with you and what you do with the consulting?
Time efficiencies. I think that's where it comes to is, processes and procedures are there. The software is limited. AI is here, but it's not helping businesses in a space of this, the programs that we have are still the programs that we have, and they're 20-year-old technology with a facelift on top of them, where right now we're kind of in the waiting zone for a software program to come to the party that can actually solve the problems of the property management and real estate sales industry. Sales is definitely ahead, I must say. You can see some really amazing AI generated tools, just cold calling tools that come in that pop up and say, hey, you need to ring this person. but in the property management space, very limited. So I found when I'm being engaged by agencies, we're really starting from the ground up to work out what is the vision, what are the values, do we have a process guide that aligns with those vision and values, and do we have the skills in the business to actually do the tasks that we're employed to do. So I've designed a skills analysis tool that we get each team member to actually answer some questions. And we did this within my business when I was growing trainees and bringing them to get all their skills. So once we've got the answers, we're using it with AI to actually analyze and find the people within the business that are actually skilled in a certain area, and then they can train other people in the business, bring them together, and we have a training induction plan for those agencies. So just kind of top level approach, but really from the ground up, trying to rebuild these businesses. And then when I go in with ChatGPT, everyone's like, "Oh my God, what is this thing?"
Are you finding there's like a hesitance with using ChatGPT,
Yeah.
or people aren't knowing, like, what is it and how is it going to take my job, and what's the kind of conversations that you're having?
Yeah, so I really, AI is like a buzzword, and everyone says
Yeah.
AI, and then we get scared. We either are an early adopter and we go for it, or we
Yep.
go, stuff that, that's not me. I'm not on that bandwagon. To a point, my husband's very much stuff that, not on my to-do list. But he will send me, we have a towing business as well. So my husband has veterans towing, and I do a bit of his social media. So he will send me the messages. He goes, "Can you put that through chat and just see what it says?" He won't touch it, but he'll do it. But there is a hesitation, and it's a misunderstanding of what AI actually is.
Yeah.
And so I try and explain it like it's an Excel spreadsheet of information that you can talk to.
Great.
Now, you can have an Excel spreadsheet of the whole wide world, and you can talk to the whole wide world about that information, and it's going to throw you back information. It's going to do it really quickly, but it might not be exactly how you want it. Or we can create some little Excel spreadsheets of information that you can talk to. And the way that we do that is we create custom GPTs, they're called, but it's just custom Excel spreadsheet of information that you can talk to. So we just did that recently for legislation changes in Queensland, which has some really tricky legislative requirements around rent increases and minimum standards and entry notices. And so we kind of dive that into a small spreadsheet so that the team can then have a conversation with it and get the answers really quickly.
I like that because it really connects with someone's paradigm and where they're at, because they can visually see a spreadsheet, right? And so
Yeah.
what you're doing, you're communicating the explanation of AI and how, or ChatGPT, and how that actually works through where someone is currently at, which is so powerful, because sometimes we go beyond someone's reality and they can't connect the dots, and therefore they go, too hard, I'm out. But what you've done, you've actually explained it really well, which is a great analogy and great story to share with people. Where do you see the trend going? Where do you see this new AI, ChatGPT, or other functions like this going over the next 6 to 12 months?
See some of the bigger franchise agencies having a real ability to scale with
Mhm.
AI. And I find that the boutique agencies, which is where I'm from, we're just going to have to innovate and think how we can use these tools without having the financial backing. The software developers I've spoken to, we had AI agents conference on the Gold Coast a couple of months ago, and the developers there are still in a bit of a sit and wait pattern because it's changing rapidly. And so
Mm.
if they're in a sit and wait, then the everyday Joe Blow agent isn't going to get access to it in property management. But the franchise level agencies, they're going to have the buying power to actually make an impact on it. So I think it's a slow burn. I reckon another 10 years. By the time someone like my kids have left school, so Cody's 11 now and Zach's 9, and we had a play date on the weekend, and Zach's little mate was, "Zach, open Chat GPT," because I've got it on their computer, their phones. And I think that they're in a a world where they're using it every day. So their expectation of software is going to be that it does things for them,
Yeah.
and it'll be their generation that's going to create it. So it could be 10 years, I see, before we actually really, in our industry, see an impact. And that's always been the case. I mean, I've worked for a real estate software company for 8 years in my journey. And I look at where we're at now and I get frustrated every day that we are not ahead, because I could see this.
Mm.
I could see this when I worked with them, that this was a possibility,
Yeah.
and we're still not there.
Yeah, so true, right? But as you can see, things are speeding up. So definitely, you'll see, as you said, when the kids leave school, it'll be a completely different landscape of what it is today. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I can't
On the
wait. I'm glad
yeah,
I
on
get to
the
see it.
totally right, totally. On the show, we have a 60-second quiz to find out a little bit more about our guests. Are you willing to play?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. All right, here we go. What's your favorite movie?
Have to be Fast and Furious, the first one.
First one. Okay, cool. Favorite food?
Anything seafood.
Okay. Favorite holiday destination?
A place called Manor Park. It's a little dirt bike place about 2 hours from Dalby, west of Brisbane.
Nice. And what's your morning routine?
Oh, not a morning person. Whatever it takes to get the kids out the door, and sometimes swearing, but I try not to.
I hear you there. Do you have an evening routine?
Yeah, I'm a bit more organised in the evening. Super focused when I get home from work, and a bit of a challenge because I work from home now, but close the door, be present with the family over dinner. That's a big thing. Get the dishwasher packed, and kids go down and have a shower. We sit on the couch for half an hour and watch something together. There's like many arguments about what's going to get watched. But usually we try with the educational things, but sometimes it's something that kids want. And then once I get the kids to bed, that's when my brain starts working, which is quite strange, but I find that's my power time. So I spend a couple of hours on the computer doing usually creative work. It might be just catching up on emails or revisioning what I've got to do next for a client. And then that's the time where I'll work on, I'm starting to write a book at the moment. So it's writing a book or reading a book or just journaling what the vision is for the next day. And I'm a late go to bed, so anywhere from 11 till 1 in the morning, but I'm always organized for the next day, so the kids' clothes are ready to go. And that's probably my key tip would be, you have to be organized. If you've got kids and you're a very busy person, it's just making sure that they can be self-sufficient in making sure that clothes are folded and on the bed ready to go. The moments when I don't do that is when it's chaos and I end up having a really bad day the next day.
Funny, isn't it? Right? That whole prep the day before for the next day, it's so important. A great piece of
I don't want to
advice.
do it. Like, it
Yeah.
just feels annoying that we have to do it. But I
So
know
true.
personally, if I do it, it makes a difference. And I try and do it for the whole week ahead.
Yeah, great. Do you have a most embarrassing moment?
Probably when I went to my very first track day. So I ride motorbikes, and I went to Queensland Raceway with my now husband, and I was in his pants because you had to wear special pants to go on the track. Now you have to wear leathers, but back then you could wear cargo Kevlar pants. And I was coming into the pits, and my motorbike was hot pink back then. And I actually went to put my foot down and I got stuck on the peg, and I went and my motorbike fell over in the pits. So that would have
Ouch.
to be it.
Oh, if you could choose 5 inspirational people to have dinner with, who would they be? They could be dead or alive.
Oh, five's a hard one. Dead, I would say. I've recently found out that my convict heritage was a Second Fleet convict, and she came over on a ship which was branded the floating brothel. So I would love to have dinner and find out her experience of, what she did to steal it, how she ended up on that ship, and how I came to be. Probably Pink. but her husband, Cary Grant, because he's a motorcycle racer, so I'd actually prefer he comes along as well, so that'd give me two. Uh, I've always loved Julia Gillard. She was sort of really inspiring for me when I first started boutique realty, so I like to mirror on a lot of the way that she did her socials. Um, how many did I give you? Four.
4. Yep.
Four.
One more.
And then my business coach is Tanja Lee. And yeah, dinner with her is just always inspiring. So
She's so amazing. Love it. All right, fantastic. If you were prime minister for the day, what's one thing that you would change?
how we look after our military when they leave the defence force.
Love it. Love it. And what's your best piece of advice?
Uh, best piece of advice would be just do it. If you're thinking of something, stop talking about it and just do it. I find that any of my good ideas that I come up with, if I talk about them too much, then I lose the momentum and I don't push through. Where the ones that I just go stuff it and just work with what I've got, they're the ones that tend to really come to life.
Love it. Fantastic. And how can people follow your journey, reach out, ask more questions and get more information?
I'm pretty social, so Facebook is where I spend. I'm of a generation of Facebook, I reckon. So yeah, connect with me on Facebook, but I'm also on LinkedIn and Insta, so I check them all daily.
Awesome. Beau, really appreciate it. Thank you. You're doing an amazing thing within the industry, but also your own personal journey. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your experience and thank you for being you.
Oh, thanks for sharing with me, James.